Hey Dragon Slayers! Today's video is about metabolic syndrome, obesity, and their connection to insulin resistance. For a once obscure disorder, metabolic syndrome, also known as Syndrome X, seems to be enjoying a boost in awareness. Medical literature is discussing it more and more often, and it's even being recognized in lay media. 1 in 3 US adults has it, and almost 90% of all adults have at least one feature of it. Metabolic syndrome is actually a constellation of disorders. The World Health Organization defines metabolic syndrome by two main criteria. The first is the patient must have two of either of the following: high blood pressure, dyslipidemia, central obesity, low levels of protein in the urine, and the second requirement is the patient must have insulin resistance. That's right, insulin resistance plus any combination of the other problems equals metabolic syndrome. In fact, insulin resistance is such a critical component of metabolic syndrome that it used to be known as insulin resistance syndrome. Obesity, for its part, really requires no introduction. It's a villain that everyone loves to hate, even if sometimes unfairly. Obesity has become so prevalent that it's now more likely that someone will be obese than it is for someone to starve. In a way, obesity and excess of fat on the body is a perfect representation of metabolic consequences of insulin resistance and hyperinsulinemia. Insulin, among its many effects, is a strong advocate of fat cell growth, blocking these cells from sharing their fat to be used by the body instead telling them to grow. However, as we will see, while obesity and insulin resistance often walk hand in hand, their relationship is surprisingly complicated. Not enough insulin is a common expression with type 2 diabetes, and it's believed that the patient doesn't have enough insulin. This unfortunate expression is wildly misleading. While some people with type 2 diabetes may indeed have dangerously low insulin levels because of dysfunctional beta cells in the pancreas, the clear majority have perfectly functioning beta cells. They simply can't produce enough insulin to overcome their significant system wide insulin resistance. Yet, this not enough paradigm is what drives the treatment of type 2 diabetes with insulin, which, as you'll learn, is what makes the patient fatter, sicker, and ever more insulin resistant. So, giving a person with prediabetes and hyperinsulinemia, or one with type 2 diabetes, more insulin is like giving someone hyperthyroidism, a disease of excess hyperthyroid, or sorry, a disease of excess thyroid hormone, even more thyroid hormone. In other words, it's total nonsense. Rather than claiming there's not enough insulin, a more accurate statement would drive better approaches than insulin therapy would be to say that insulin is less effective. We should look at other treatments. So I believe that the false idea that type 2 diabetes patients need more insulin is one of the most destructive ideas in the history of medicine. I believe, I hope, and I pray that someday in the near future, giving type 2 diabetes patients insulin will be looked upon like bloodletting or performing surgeries with unwashed hands is now. Something so wildly ridiculous and inaccurate that we wonder how we could have ever thought it was a good idea in the first place. So that's what I've got for you guys today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And remember that together, you and I will slay. the dreaded diabetes dragon.